Hey, sophomores, what's up? I wanted to just give you a little bit more short video about what I mean by summarizing quotes. I don't mean writing summaries. I mean giving a line or maybe two to summarize a quote that you're about to use, or maybe even paraphrase, and tell me what it means and how it's connected to the rest of your paper. This is a really great way of helping your paper flow together, where you're constantly, of course, you're taking me to the text to support your argument, right? But instead of just dropping quotes in, you're explaining the quote that you're about to give me. So I made up a little thesis right here. It might not be very good, and I have no idea if you can read it, but I'll tell you what it says, and then I'm going to give you an example of a quote that you will know from the book that you might use, and then we'll try to summarize it, okay? So this says, though the militarized society Ender grows up in normalizes? Yep. Normalizes cruelty, Ender finally sees through the deception around him, and his humanity survives. Though the militarized society Ender grows up in normalizes cruelty, Ender finally sees through the deception around him, and his humanity survives. That might need some work, but it's not bad. Okay, so then here's a quote that you would obviously use. So as your paper is going along, you're saying, you're thinking of places in the book where the horrible situation that Ender is born into. You might start with his parents and the weird, loveless kind of situation he's in as a third child, and his weird relationship with his parents. But remember, your thesis is about showing his humanity, and you might say, you might be thinking you would use this quote. In the moment, I cut it down a little bit, and you'll see where I put ellipses. These dots are where I took out a couple of words just to make the quote work better and not be as long. In the moment, I truly understand my enemy well enough to defeat him. In that moment, I also love him. So obviously there is a quote. You probably can't even read my handwriting, but anyway, it's there. There's a quote that obviously has reference to Ender's militarized identity, that he's like a weapon, but also that there is foreshadowing in that Ender is going to discover, in a way, he's going to come to love the enemy, right? So that's the irony of the book, or that's one of the great reversals of the book. So for this, I would need a summary to try to connect it up to what I was saying in the book. And we're just playing pretend. This isn't a real essay I'm writing, but I just wanted to give you an example of what summarizing a quote looks like. So I might be saying at that point, even early in the story, Ender indicates, I'm just making this up off the top of my head, but hopefully it's helpful. Ender indicates that there is something in his understanding. No way you could read that. Understanding of warfare other than hatred. Okay, so the quote is, in the moment I truly understand my enemy, I also love him, right? And you could actually cut out more of that quote, probably you should, and say, in the moment I truly understand my enemy, ... I love him. Let's do that. So I wanted to quote down that. Remember, you are free, quick trip napkin to the rescue here. You are free to cut up quotes and use them however you want, as long as you identify the quoted material in quotes. And if you paraphrase, you're clear that you're paraphrasing. And in a paper where you needed to put in parenthetical citations, you do that too. In the moment, I truly understand my enemy, ... I'm removing all this other stuff. I also love him. So I took that quote and I made it more punchy and shorter and clearer. In the moment, I truly understand my enemy, I also love him. That's the point, right? So we cut out some of the extra stuff. Now, you have to use your imagination, but let's say at the time I get to this point in the essay, I want to use this quote to show that maybe I've been showing how Ender really is cruel, and the society that he grows up really is cruel. His relationship with his parents is problematic and kind of loveless. And then he's, you know, beating people to death all the time. So anyway, at this point in the essay, maybe is where you would want to indicate, but there's something else going on too. And of course, it's going to be really important to the end of the book. And in your essay, you would be taking a whole conspectus, a big view of the book, and saying, here's how Ender shows that even in the context of this militarized insanity, there's something else going on inside him, and there's his love and humanity are still surviving. So I say, even early in the story, Ender indicates that there is something in his understanding of warfare other than hatred. So I didn't just exactly summarize this, but I indicated why I'm quoting it. I'm quoting it because it's a contrast to the insane militarism of Ender's experience, right, and of his society. So I say, even early in the story, Ender indicates that there is something in his understanding of warfare other than hatred. And that makes the reader go, well, what else is there in his understanding of warfare other than hatred? Boom. Your quote says, in the moment I truly understand my enemy. Let's do something else. Let's take out the ... In the moment I truly understand my enemy, comma, quotation marks, Ender says, new quotation marks plugged in. Even early in the story, Ender indicates that there is something in his understanding of warfare other than hatred. What's that? In the moment I truly understand my enemy, Ender says, I also love him. It's a weird quote, by the way. But anyway, something Scott Card is trying to do is show this contrast between love and humanity and a brutal militarized society. So that's how you summarize a quote, or there might be a better word for it, but that's how you blend the quote into your argument. Any questions about that, or if you want to send me examples, please do. But go ahead and write a summary, just a little summary statement that says what the quote is about to say, or something like this that's maybe a little more sophisticated, how it's blending into your idea. But remember, the point of the quotes is to support the thesis. So that should tell you how you want to write your little summary of each quote. If you just write a summary of each one because you feel like this is a little confusing at this point, I don't blame you. Do your best, but write a summary of each one. And that should work. Thanks, guys.